Hey, Wanderers, how are you? Today we're going to be talking about cruising again, but this time we're going to be talking about a very unique cruise, a nudist cruise on NCL. So we're going to get right into that. So imagine booking a cruise where your packing list basically is sunscreen, maybe a towel, and that's it. And the towel's optional because they'll provide them.
So is this like all the time or just by the pool? Like,
Good question. Today we're going to react to this cruise. We're going to talk about it and the rules that they have for an actual news cruise. And trust me, there are a lot of rules.
well, that's good if ever you need a role.
I know. I am Steve,
I'm Laura.
and we are the Wandering Empty Nesters. And today we are diving into a wild little corner of the travel world, a full naturist cruise or nudist cruise, often called the Big Nude Boat. This is a cruise that's offered yearly, and it's been being offered for 15 years now
Wow,
by
I
a
didn't know
travel
that.
company called Bare Necessities. Quite honestly,
How appropriate.
right. And they specialize in cruises and trip packages for people who wish to experience this. And quite honestly, they probably don't do a lot of advertising because when they put this stuff out there in the media, people like us do the advertising for them rather. So while you might find, this isn't for you, there might be somebody out there who goes, oh, I had no idea that this existed. And I think we can both say that we did not know this existed.
No,
So
I knew that like Carnival once upon a time had like a nude level,
yeah,
a
so
topless level.
yeah, back in the early, I don't know how far it went back, but
90s.
when I first cruised back in the late 80s, early 90s, the upper level, and this was on a Carnival cruise, so I just presume it was on most cruise lines. So the upper level, there was a level around the smokestack in the center, and it was for topless. It was not
Not
for
completely nude.
nude. It was for topless bathing, and there was actually a sign as you went up the stairs, and it said that it was the European sunbathing deck, which just meant topless, right?
Mhm.
And I had a picture of the sign, and that's the only picture I had. And that's as far as I actually was courageous enough to go up. I don't know if there was anybody actually up there, but yeah, there was a time when cruising actually had this, and there has been talk recently about this type of single deck coming back. However, this is a whole cruise. So what happens here is Bare Necessities goes and they basically just do a large group booking, right? They secure, in this case, enough cabins for about 2,000 people. So almost an
It's a
entire
lot
ship.
of naked
Oh,
people.
a lot of eye contact going on this ship is my imagining. Not whole ship. So, I don't have the exact dates on this for 2026. It finished and it had it 2025. It had one. And like I said, I've done it for 15 years. So you really want to like check your travel advisor. You do not probably want to book this cruise and then see that
By
everyone's bringing
accident.
on like backpacks and you got like 3 pieces of luggage and they're like, what are you doing?
Imagine accidentally booking this
When
trip.
you're away from port, this becomes a real moment, right? But there are a lot of rules. You may not, especially on embarkation day, realize it initially that this is a nude cruise. And we'll talk about some of the rules. But let's get a quick disclaimer in there right up front. We are keeping this PG. We are body positive and not making fun of anybody's body. This isn't a spicy swinger cruise. It's a naturist charter where people just prefer fewer layers. And it to each their own, honestly, as long as, this is what you're doing and there are rules set. And I would think NCL would be very upfront with anybody booking this cruise, not through Bare Necessities with communication saying, are you aware? Like here's the restrictions. My guess is they're going to email you a set of the rules up front, which should raise some flags right away. So I don't think that you could get on this cruise accidentally. But again, it's a controlled environment. They're doing this just for that. There's certain times they can and cannot be. Let me state also, the crew is fully clothed at all times as normal. The crew does not participate in this. But that said, there is room available on this cruise. But Bare Necessities Travel, I'll say their name out there a few times. You can Google them if this is something you would like to do. By all means, you should book through them. Now, again, they are a travel agency of their own, so they have their own group bookings for this. So no one else can book this for you. They're the people to go to if this is the kind of cruise that you want to go. So let's get into some of the rules and we'll talk about them. So imagine this is a normal cruise ship because it is. It's the Norwegian Pearl, which is the ship we sailed on
To
in
Alaska.
Greece.
Greece?
Greece.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
So the Pearl we sailed on in Greece, and we love this ship because this was the ship that we found for the first time, the Aqua Spa. And that's a great thing. If you're not familiar with the Aqua Spa, gives you some real benefits with, your own pool and just some really unique opportunities that you can do. It's a very limited number that they sell. You really want to purchase it right immediately when you board. There's always people from the spa there, which for a long period of time we just walked right past. But
Mhm.
we learned about it. And we wanted to do it, so we did purchase that. And if you're not sure about it, usually on port days you can get deals there if they have room available. So you could get like a 1 or 2 day. So the Pearl we've been on, it's a great ship. It's not like a mega ship. It's a middle ship, 2,500 people. The normal cruise staff, they stay clothed the whole time, and they do everything a normal cruise does. They're going to go to all the ports. They're going to have sea days. They're going to have shows, trivia. And I know while I'm saying these things, you're thinking everyone's nude, but we're going to get to the rules, right? We're going to get to the rules that they're not in all of these things nude, but because that would be very interesting. Again, eye contact is like I got to imagine is the rule of the day. A lot of eye contact going on in this thing. But in certain areas, as this normal cruise go on, it is optional. Now, if you're anything like us, the first thing you think is, okay, but how does this actually work? What are the rules that come into play? And so here we go. The number one rule is if you're sitting down, you're sitting on a towel. And that's what I'm saying. You can bring your own towel. So you don't have to. They are going to provide extra towels, extra towel room that you can take up there. And of course, towels around, and these can be smaller towels or, even maybe full towels. I'm not really sure about the size of the towel, but something appropriate to sit on. And so if you have something, your favorite kind of towel, and you want to carry it around the whole week, I guess you can do that. Now, you're going to be using this pretty much anywhere you're sitting down. So if you're on a deck chair, you're at a bar chair, anything like that, towel goes down, you go
Side of
down.
the pool.
That wasn't specified. It was, when and maybe, but, I was reading this rule, it really was talking about furniture. And, that's really a hygiene thing, right? So that you're
Mhm.
sitting there, somebody else comes along, they sit down next. Nobody wants to sit where your nethers have been. So a towel is required. And so I'm like, if you're on maybe the pool side, I guess not, right? Because it would get soaking wet and
Yeah.
there is water. But I don't know, and I'm not going to find out
No.
because I'm not going to find out because A, not going to take the cruise, and also rule number 2, no cameras, just for privacy's sake. No phones or cameras. It's a privacy thing. The idea is that people can relax without worrying that you're going to end up in some viral meme on the internet, and so cameras are put away. You're not allowed to take any little sneaky selfies and no, oops, I accidentally caught you in the background kind of thing. And honestly, this is a kind of rule I think we could all live from a little bit better.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to take a picture while they're on. But I think it goes to extremes, right? And we've certainly talked about this in different ports and different places where people go to the extreme for the selfies. We just talked about some of the extremes we've seen on the edges of ships outside balconies with people taking selfies. We saw that in Santorini and other places. So, I mean, it's fine to capture your cruise or your trip, but it gets overboard. And in this one's even more so because of the clothing thing. Now, again, where clothing is allowed, or clothing is required, I should say, which is going to be, we're going to talk about in a minute, but like main dining and other kinds of things, I'm going to guess the cameras are fine,
Mhm.
because nobody's trying to hide anything. So if you want to take a picture of, your group gathering while you're in the dining room, that's fine. But, pictures out on the pool deck and that kind of thing, that's not allowed. So I like that rule. Rule number 3, clothes are required in certain areas of the ship. So that's great sometimes. So even on the Nudist cruise, there are plenty of places where you still have to wear clothes. And that usually includes like main dining areas, some of the indoor lounges, and definitely when the ship is in port. Local laws and cruise line rules still apply. You can't be strolling down the gangway with no clothes on. You cannot be strolling around the port of call with no clothes on, because that's just not what they do there. And I think this is, I mean, really, if you take a pause and you think about this cruise, this, I hate to say it, but this is kind of common sense. You would think this would be the case, right? Because we talk about all the time people going on regular cruises, and this is a regular cruise on a regular cruise ship with just a little bit different rules. That once you get into that port, you're living at the laws of that country or that
Right.
particular port. And we sometimes tend to stretch
And the
our
consequences.
yes, and the consequences that go with that. And we sometimes tend to stretch our American ideas into these other ports. Now, honestly, these are tourist ports, so they tend to go a little bit extra because of tourism of all
They
kinds.
may draw the line at nude.
Well, I think they absolutely would draw the line at nude. I don't think there's any made about it. I think that's going to absolutely happen. But if you're staying on during a port day, you can't be on your balcony, nude, because that can be seen. And that's any cruise anywhere. A lot of people, we've talked about this on another video, think that balconies are private. They are not.
Mm.
And especially sometimes you get in these ports and ships are are docked side by side. And so people from another ship can see you, not always the same cruise line. And so, there's no privacy on those balconies when you're at sea, really, or definitely not when you're in port. So, yeah. So while you said the only things you had to really pack were sunscreen, the case is that you probably need to carry at least to do a carry on because you got to have some clothes for your dining and also if you're going to leave during the cruise. Now, it wasn't specific. I was trying to find this answer because they do have a private island day on Great Stirrup Cay. So it wasn't specific whether or not they'd be the only ship in port and therefore could be nude on the private island.
I'm sure the agency that books it could
Well,
answer
100%.
that.
Bare necessities could let you know that. Obviously, I'm going to guess if they're able to somehow schedule them as the only ship there.
Problem is, you have people that you pass getting from the ship to the private area. I mean, you don't just like go when you're there already. You have to get on a tram or a bus or
Gotta
something.
take your towel. Well, and if you're the only ship in, then you're passing pretty much your cruise mates and basically company employees who are the same as on the cruise. Now, I've not been to Great Stirrup Cay because we've not sailed NCL in the Caribbean. We've sailed it mainly in Europe and Alaska. We did go to Bermuda once, and Bermuda's a perfect example, although not a private island. Whether or not this private is 100% private, some islands are simply the cruise port. Coco Cay, Disney. Some, however, are part of a country,
Mm,
Virgin Cruise Lines, for instance. So their private beach is actually at Bimini, but it's actually a resort that they own and they take over when they're in port.
right,
So you do have to actually, in that case, yeah, you would, even if you were the only cruise ship there, you would have to go in through the locals, and that would be unacceptable. So
right.
I couldn't quite find that one, so I can't really relate it to you. But if you're interested to know whether or not the private island is included in close optional, bare necessities be the one to tell you that. So you do have to take some luggage. So rule number 4, and I think this is one that people really start to think about when they think about these cruises and their mind starts to wonder. And this rule is no public intimacy.
And that's, I mean, just a typical cruise. You see, I mean, especially after a few drinks, you see men and women in the pool hugging and kissing and way more than they should in public. So
And this isn't just
this one
cruise
could,
lines.
yeah, exactly.
It's resorts,
Exactly. You
Vegas,
get a few
anywhere where
drinks in
alcohol is
you
involved.
and you don't make good decisions.
Absolutely. Once again, we've done 4 rules, and 2 of them I would like to apply to regular cruising. So,
Yeah.
kudos to the people who set this cruise up. You got some great rules going so
Mhm.
far, and I wish we could adopt at least 2 of them so far into the regular sailings because they make sense. So, the whole point of these trips is for people to be comfortable and not to turn the ship into a big floating adult movie, which is I think what a lot of people think. So, do people flirt? Sure. But anything more than that is expected to stay in your private cabin. Hot tubs, hallways, sun decks. It's about respecting each other, and they're doing that. So I'm not going to be one of these people. It's not in my wheelhouse, but I respect the rules thus far. And that goes along with our rule number 5 is respect everyone else's places. And so is respect and consent. No staring and no rude comments, no touching, obviously. And
Don't be
don't be
weird.
weird,
Don't be
don't be
creepy.
creepy. There's a inclination maybe for certain people to join this cruise because they have the wrong perception of what this cruise entails. And I think that's where your don't be creepy comes from is the people like that. They're not really part of this lifestyle. They don't want to be what these people are. And that's just experience in the world, close optional. They want to go to the other extreme, which is not what these people are about. So I got to think that security is even on a more tighter
I would hope
alert
so.
presence in this situation than they
Yeah.
are even on others. We've talked to cruise members before. When they sign on, they're signing on for 16 months or longer, right? So I talked about taking this same ship, the Pearl, in Greece. So when that ship repositions out of Greece over here for say the Caribbean run or the Alaskan run, same crew. Last week, same cruise, clothes required. Then they're gonna have this one. So that's a big shift. So they're gonna have some specialized training to do this, but it's not a special crew that does
No.
this. Interesting.
So, like, you go to the shows, is that a
Yeah,
clothing?
because you're sitting, right? I think shows I think there wasn't a list of things
So
that
it
would
sounds like
say.
it's mostly poolside.
I think it's mostly poolside, sun deck, anything in the outside. I think most of it, the buffet was closed optional. Bring your towel. Main dining and specialty dining, sit down dining, which you still sit down and dine in the buffet, but main dining, specialty dining, clothes were required. Buffet, clothes optional. I gotta think that's like a safety issue too, right? Like, what if you I don't know. I don't I'm I'm really talking about things I don't know because
Okay,
I
we'll just stick with ew.
yeah. So, interesting cruise, not something that you normally see come down the pike every day. Let us know what you think. Is this something that you would actually book? And we can't book it for you, but I'm happy to, if I can find a link. I don't know that I'd find a link for a booking site for them, but I'll tell you again, it's Bare Necessity travel agency. They're pretty easy to find on Facebook. I found, or not on Facebook, but on Google. I found their main site, but I didn't see a booking for this particular cruise, or I would link it for them. I think that there are people out there who still don't realize that this is something that they can do. And I think the cruise line industries on a smaller scale realizes this is something that people are talking about because they have talked, like I said, about bringing back the single deck. So, what are your thoughts? What would you do before you book? Always find out through your travel advisor. Is it a theme cruise? Is there anything going on? There are a lot of theme cruises outside of nudity. There are obviously Halloween cruises, Christmas cruises.
There's a lot of Christmas ones
There's
coming up.
while you Christmas was coming up, absolutely.
There's still time to book one.
There is still time to book one. It's
It's
getting a little
getting tight.
tight. 2027. I'm sorry,
For New
2026 and
Year's.
2027.
The
New Year's
would be a
cruises. Halloween's
someone.
ones are the theme cruises, and the Marvel cruises on Disney are the cruises where people might think about dressing up and bringing something. I know on our Disney cruise with our grandkids,
The
we
Pirate
took our
Day.
pirate stuff, and so Christmas, you just kind of go as you are. Halloween, some of the Disney cruises, you tend to take stuff with you. So you're going to want to know, is there a theme happening on that particular cruise when you book it? And you'll be able to pack accordingly. Understand your cruise ship, understand what the rules are, and you will have a great time traveling. Lots of deals going on with Black Friday still, although you've seen we haven't posted a lot because I don't think the deals have been outstanding. There have been a few good ones, but every one of them has not been magical. So we've withheld. I know I've seen a lot of other places just pumping out every deal that comes along, but we're going to not throw everyone to you if we don't think it's wonder worthy of you looking for.
Mhm.
But wave season is just around the corner. So if you've been thinking about any kind of cruise in 2026 or even 2027 season, that's the time to book. Historically, the best time of year for all bookings. Now, the downside there, of course, is capacity. We've talked about this before. Certain rooms will already be gone, which
Mhm.
is why you might want to consider 2027, where there is more capacity.
We've already got 2 for 2027.
Two for 2027, absolutely, and one for late 2026 as well. So, you really want to book early. Last minutes are fine, but you got to be flexible. And you really do kind of need to be experienced to do a last minute. So, I don't recommend a last minute necessarily as your first cruise. But back to the topic, let us know what you would consider about this particular cruise.
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up, thumbs down. Please give us a like or follow. If you follow us on Facebook and you're seeing this, please jump over to YouTube just for a second and give us a follow there as well, because AIs and algorithms are difficult things, and we're trying to figure them out. We're trying to make 2026 the best we can, bringing you all the best details. And to do that, really appreciate your support by giving us a follow on both those channels. Let us know down in the comments what your thoughts are. Until then, stay wonder-worthy, and we'll see you again next time.
Thanks for spending a little time with us today. If you enjoyed this and want more insider tips, real travel stories, and deals that make your bucket list closer than you think, be sure to scan the QR code, hit subscribe, or follow. Why? Because every week we bring you ideas that save you money, inspire your next adventure, and show you how to travel smarter without the stress. Don't just dream about travel, make it happen with us. Follow now so you never miss your next chance to wander worthy.